What is going on, fellow outlaws? Outlaw Gary here. In today's video, we're covering the best abilities to use in Red Dead Online when it comes to PvP and in some cases PvE as well as hunting. So if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure you guys drop a like. And of course, this is covering all ability cards that you can get in the game, especially when you get in the upper levels. Now, unfortunately for myself, I'm only level 38, but watch this, dudes. I'm about to be level 100, like in 2 seconds. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I'm level 132, but now, yeah, I don't know what happened, guys. My magic worked. So we're level 132, and today we're going over the best abilities in Red Dead Online. Now, there's two ways you can open up your abilities tab in Red Dead Online. You gotta press L1 and then press triangle on PS4, or you can press start and then go to abilities. Those are the two ways. Now, abilities are special because there's 3 passive abilities and 1 Deadeye ability. And with every passive ability, there is 3 versions of the passive abilities. Now, I know that may sound weird, but I'm gonna break down to you, I guess, the basics, and then we're gonna get into the best ability cards for different things. So first things first, we're gonna be looking at the Deadeye ability. Now, the best Deadeye ability that I have personally experienced myself is slow and steady. Now, slow and steady is the best because while Deadeye is active, you take much less damage, and headshots do not kill you outright. So you don't have to worry about dying to a headshot if your Deadeye is active. And honestly, it feels like the slow and steady makes your Deadeye drain so slow. I just feel like my Deadeye drains so slow when I have it active. And you guys will see when you use your Deadeye, it really changes the way your character looks. So let me show you guys real quick. See how I have this black and like color to myself, and I'm like emitting some kind of like steam. I don't know why that is, but I think it's really cool. So this Deadeye, I just popped a fortification of Deadeye, but it lasts a long time. It feels like longer than most Deadeyes would, and I don't know if that's because slow and steady is purposely doing that or what, but look how long I've been in Deadeye already. Like, that's some pretty good time. Like, that's some pretty good drainage right there. So that is the Deadeye ability that I choose personally. Now, most of these abilities I've had personal experiences with. If you guys don't know how they work, you can actually over time level up your Deadeye abilities for which ones you use. Example, Paint It Black is the one that Buddha has, and big thanks for Buddha for letting me use his account. We can upgrade his Paint It Black if we wanted to. Now, upgrades can get a little costly. This upgrade for tier 2 will run you $300, and I think the next tier is, I believe, $600. I'm not 100% sure, but the tiers are expensive to upgrade, and upgrading, of course, makes those cards better. So we're gonna re-enable slow and steady 3. As you guys can see, he has it all the way leveled up to level 3, so it's actually really nice. And then one that a lot of players also use in PvP is slippery, because while Deadeye is active, enemy players cannot lock onto you and you cannot lock onto them. Other enemies are a little less accurate when shooting at you. The rate at which your Deadeye drains is dramatically decreased. So the reason why these two, slow and steady and slippery, are both really good to use in PvP is depending on how you play. This one is good if you want to tank more damage and you want to not die to headshots, and this one's great because if you are a very skilled console player and do not rely on use of auto aim, then this will be super great because it's a counter to all the auto aiming noobs out there. And if you are super good at aiming, this will make you a god. The 2 abilities I recommend for PvP specifically are slow and steady and slippery. Level them as you choose, and of course they only level up as you use them. Now, there are other types of Deadeye abilities like focus fire, movement to recuperate. These are all great abilities as well, but they have different uses. So the Deadeye ability for slow and steady and slippery are great for PvP, player versus player. But let's say you're out there hunting, you're killing animals, and you want to do a little bit more damage. I highly recommend focus fire. While your Deadeye is active, you and your teammates deal more damage, and that's just a really easy way for you to just output more damage. And if you're worrying about, you know, animals dying to you or not dying to you depending on the weapon you use, focus fire is a great way to make sure that those animals that you are hunting die to your shots. Focus fire can also be used against other players when you're outputting more damage, but there is a large trade-off. Sometimes being a glass cannon in Red Dead Online isn't a great payoff at all, and the outcome isn't always what you want, because if you die, you're not really able to put out that damage. So it's better to have somewhat of a balanced build, and that's why I recommend for player versus player you have slow and steady 3 or slippery. Those are great options for the Deadeye abilities. Now, of course, that's only the beginning of what's to come, as we have 3 passive abilities to go over as well. In this video, we're covering all the passive abilities for PvP, and we'll be discussing which ones are best to use for different circumstances. So without further ado, let's get into our first ability. At the top of your first passive ability, you'll see you can press L1 and R1 to sort through different types of ability cards. So the first one are combat abilities. abilities, then you have recovery abilities, and then you have defensive abilities. Starting off with combat abilities, we have Horseman 3, Necessity Breeds, Landon's Patience, the Short Game, Hangman, and Winning Streak. Now, each of these have different perks to them. Like I mentioned, this video is focusing on how to pretty much defeat griefers and the best build for that. And a lot of the combat abilities aren't as great as they seem to be. The reason for this, because when you're actually PvPing, the amount of damage you do isn't really important as long as you get a headshot. But what you do need to focus on the combat abilities is what they can be used for in other circumstances. An example, Horseman. Horseman isn't a great ability card to be using in PvP situations because you doing more damage while on horseback isn't that great. How often are you in a PvP battle where you're like, let me get on my horse before I fight this dude? It just doesn't happen that way. So it's not great. But what this does do great for is hunting. Hunting will be great for horsemen because it allows you to actually put out more damage if you're on your horse, especially when you're bird hunting. In no way, shape, or form do you need to deal more damage while bird hunting if you're using a varmint rifle, but those are ways that this can be used. Necessity Breeds lets you do more damage when you're closer to death. Landon's Patience, waiting up to 15 seconds between each shots increases your damage, which is not bad. The Short Game, you deal a little more damage to targets that are closer to you, but less damage to targets far away. Not great, especially for hunting. Hangman, your lasso chokes your enemies, dealing a little bit damage every second they're lassoed, which could be really fun against griefers. And then lastly, Winning Streak. Each consecutive shot on the same target does much more damage than the last. And the problem with this, if you get a headshot, it's an insta-kill, and you won't really have to worry about the damage output you're doing. So Winning Streak is great, but at the same time, if you're getting headshots and dropping bodies, this isn't a really great ability card to use. So the combat abilities for combat are sadly pretty useless. Now, recovery abilities is what really shines when it comes to PvP. Now, by far the current meta, the best loadout for PvP is this right here. You're gonna be using Strange Medicine 3, Eye for Eye 3, and then Never Without One 3. Those are the best to use for PvP. And as you guys can see, none of these are combat abilities. 2 recoveries and 1 defensive, and let's explain why. Strange Medicine, you regain a lot of health whenever you inflict damage. Your health otherwise regenerates half at the normal rate. As long as you're outputting damage, Strange Medicine is a great option to have, but of course, you could switch it up. As a second passive, headshots restore a lot of Deadeye, which go really well with your Deadeye ability, Slow and Steady, because you take less damage and headshots do not kill you right away. So if you have your passive Deadeye, or you have Deadeye on at all times, with this passive card, you can actually output a lot of damage and deaths or get a lot of kills as long as you have Deadeye active most of the time, because you're taking less damage while your Deadeye is active, and as long as you are getting headshots, you're restoring your Deadeye. So you could go like a whole like team series event if you're dropping tons of bodies without ever losing your Deadeye, especially if it was fortified. And lastly, the third passive is Never Without One. This one's really crazy because with this card and your Deadeye passive, your Deadeye card, they stack, and it's really weird because if you have your hat on, you block 1 headshot that someone does to you, which could be super game changing to a 1v1. So if someone shoots you in the head, your hat will fall off and you won't die. So I highly recommend this card because it's really great. But if you respawn without your hat, then the card becomes then useless. So it's a really mixed bag and a gamble, as you won't respawn with your hat, you respawn without it at most times, and it's really up to you how you decide to play this third ability. It depends if you're playing in large team series events or in just free roam PvP where a griefer is just trying to grief you and you're trying to fight back, or I guess you could be the griefer. Hopefully not. The other cards available to you in the recovery abilities are also pretty great. An example, Come Back Stronger 2, your health begins regenerating sooner after you take damage. Not bad, not great, but it's just there. One of my favorites is Peak Condition. You inflict a lot more damage if your stamina bar is at least 75% full, and if you're hunting, you normally have higher stamina than 75%. So you outputting more damage is great, especially when hunting. Then you have the Eye for Eye, which we covered already. The Gift of Focus, items and abilities which restore Deadeye have their effects slightly improved and you do a little bit less damage. Honestly, one of the most worthless cards in Red Dead Online. Then we have Strange Medicine, which we covered already, regaining health whenever you inflict damage. And then lastly, Cold Blooded, after killing an enemy, you'll regain a little health over the next 5 seconds, which, because this is a recovery, I guess, card, this makes perfect sense. In a general scheme of things, this is not super great. You are better off just consuming a tonic than trying to regain health over the next 5 seconds. It's just dumb. Moving on to your defensive abilities, as you guys can see, Buddha has not purchased many of these cards because a lot of them are not great, especially the first one, starting off with Hunker Down. Hunker Down, you take a little less damage while in cover, which is really dumb because, well, let's be real, this is really worthless. To fight another day, you take less damage from bullets while sprinting, which could seem like a really great card, but at the end of the day, it could be, I mean, it's not amazing. They're like, I think it's one of the, like, top 4 cards, but definitely not number 1. Then we have the Unblinking Eye, your Deadeye and Eagle Eye drain at a little slower rate, which this one is really good if you combine it with all the other Deadeye cards, which allow you to drain stamina, or allow you to drain your Deadeye slower. And on top of that, if you're gaining Deadeye per headshots, you can infinitely have Deadeye on, which is a really good thing. Take the pain away 1. Whenever you revive someone, you both take a little less damage. Let's be real, in PvP, especially in team series events, reviving someone in large team series events is incredibly hard. And if you're able to pull it off, more kudos to you, but this card really isn't that great. A little less damage to taken is not a great thing. It's like you're just taking a little bit less damage. It's not going to change the world. Then we have the last defensive ability, which is of single purpose 1. You take a little less damage from bullets while unarmed or using a melee weapon. This card is only good if you combine it with of single purpose and take the pain away. Sorry, of single purpose and to fight another day. The reason why these 2 cards work really well is because if you run around knifing people or using combat weapons or melee weapons, these 2 defensive abilities are great. But if you combine them in the current build that we have, it doesn't really work. The reason why this build works for this specific loadout is because we know what we're doing. You can really customize your ability loadouts to be what you want them to be, but right now there are like certain loadouts that are better than others, this being one of them. And of course, you can dabble in what you want to do, changing out each passive ability. Again, I highly recommend for every single one, you press square and go to upgrade your cards. An example, you can upgrade to different tiers. Unfortunately, for the Unblinking Eye, he hasn't like used it enough to upgrade it. And the way you upgrade these cards is by simply using them. You have to have the ability cards equipped to unlock XP for them. Then you can upgrade these said cards. Overall, it's pretty easy to upgrade them and it's not hard at all. And this ability loadout really does some great damage if you want to output the most amount of effectiveness when PvPing. Now, of course, dependent on your playstyle, if you are not a rifle guy and you like melee weapons more, then there's other loadouts for that. But this specific loadout, Strange Medicine, Eye for Eye, and Never Without One with Slow and Steady Deadeye is a great option for PvP. There are other options. There's not one like ability loadout that is better than all the rest because it just comes down to how you play Red Dead Online. So hopefully this video solved and helped you guys figure out what you want to do with your playstyle in Red Dead Online, as there are different ways and mechanics you can use to succeed and beat other griefers, as I know sometimes these griefers may be very annoying, and hopefully this video helped you solve the issues you may have fighting off those griefers. Of course, if you are new around here, hit that subscribe button. If you guys enjoy the video, drop a like. Let me know in the comment section, what is your current ability loadout that has helped you succeed in Red Dead Online and what you use them for. And if you have different ability loadouts for different things you do in free roam. An example, is there different ability loadouts you have for stranger missions, for team series events, free roam, and hunting? Those are 4 different ability loadouts you could have. And honestly, if that is a thing, I could make another video showcasing ability loadouts for hunting if that's something you guys want. I just don't see the purpose because we covered it all in this video, as really is sort of self-explanatory as long as you understand how to properly spec, I guess, your overall character and the mechanics behind them. So big thanks to Buddha, of course, for providing his account so I can show you guys a fully maxed out leveled character. And as a thank you to Buddha, as you guys can see, he currently has $7,878 with 13 gold bars. And for him letting me use his account, if you guys don't know, he's actually in a lot of my videos and has helped me countless times with different thumbnails. I'm gonna hook him up because he helped us here with this video here, which was pretty easy for me to make. But because he is such a great guy, as you guys can see at the bottom, his morality is all the way up. So he's like one of the good guys in Red Dead Online. I'm gonna hook him up with a little something. We're gonna go over to the PlayStation store. We're gonna hook him up with 55 gold bars. Now I know what you guys are thinking, Garrett, why don't you just not give him the gold bars? Well, I bought a PlayStation store gift card and I just thought I would just give him $25, so might as well. I guess he could use this. Oh, he's so messed up if I just bought like $500 worth of gold bars on his account. That'd be so messed up. The code has been inputted. There we go. We got the check and boom, baby. Add the funds to the wallet. I'm not even gonna buy the gold bars. I'll let him decide what to do with the $25, because I thought about it, I was like, what if he doesn't want to buy gold bars? I'll let him do what he wants to do with this gift card I just got him. It's gonna be a surprise to him. He won't know. Big thanks to Buddha. Big thanks to all you guys for allowing me to even do this. Like, doing this YouTube channel has been such an awesome experience. It's been a new, refreshing experience for me, and for me to be able to give back to you guys has been something I love doing. For those viewers that have been with me for many years, my mods and all my long longtime viewers know I'm always giving back. I recently did something really big for Christmas for my mod, for one mod this year that was super helpful for me in 2018 because I had a really rough 2018. You guys didn't know I moved from like California to Texas, bought a house in Texas. Things didn't work out in Texas of me living in Texas, moved out of Texas, and now live in Washington State. And I hooked one of my longest viewers up with a gaming PC, a great gaming PC because he's been with me for so long. And it's thanks to you guys I'm able to do stuff like this. And I just want to say thank you to every single one of you guys that shows the love and shows the support. And I know many of you guys are around my age, so big thanks for like seriously all the love. Big thanks to Buddha. He's a brand new member of the community, super new to the channel and streams and everything, but has been showing nothing but love and has been super helpful. So the Outlaw community has been fantastic to me, and I want to give back where I can. Of course, you guys want to pick up some merch? Go buy some today. Outlaw Gary, links down below. See you guys tomorrow with I'll see you guys later today with a brand new video. Bye guys.